Welcome guys to the second video of my tutorial series that I concentrated on creating a calculator using Java. So now in this video what we're going to focus on is to do and complete this functionality of our calculator. Now basically this is a message that says please press the corresponding number for the operation you wish to perform, and then we have three choices, and we can either press 1, 2 or 3. Now 1 is as it's written here, it means if we want to perform another operation. So let's try it. Let's say we print 1, and then again this menu pops up which asks for the operation. So let's say we want an addition, so 3 plus 3 is 6, and then let's say we want to load the history. Well, then the numbers that we've gotten, which is 6 and 7 here, which are basically the results, so basically we display them, and then again this menu pops up, and then let's say we want to exit the program, then we just get these things, which basically are just displaying the history and a thank you message for basically the user to have used our program. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify what we are going to do in this video. And by the way guys, in the last video I forgot to mention that I have a fully documented code on my GitHub profile. I created a repository with a readme file, so be sure to check it out. I'm going to leave my link in the description. So anyway, let's get to it. So yesterday, actually the last video, we left off here. Basically we ask the user for the first and the second number, we get them, and also we did our methods, which will be addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the division. Now we need to display first now this menu here, right? So let's do that first. So I'm going to create a method. Anyway, I'm going to create a method called showMenu, right? That is not going to take any parameters, and I'm going to initialize a variable here which is going to be our loop counter, and we'll say while z is not equal to 1. So basically what this does is just keeps on looping until we get a valid result. So for example here, let's run it again. Let me show you first what we're trying to do. So let's say 4 minus 3, and here let's say I put gibberish. See, the menu pops up again. So basically that's the function, that's the purpose of this loop here. Alright, then what we want to do? Well, then we want to print our message, system.out.println, and please press the corresponding number for the operation you wish to perform. That will be our message. Then we want to print another line. It's going to be another operation. Actually, wouldn't it be better if we say, do you wish to perform another operation? I think it looks better. Then another line would be, do you want to load the history, right? And then system out print line, do you want to exit the program? Okay, so now we have these three options. Then what do we want to do? Well, then we want to take the user input, so we know which option he chose, whether it's 1, 2 or 3. So let's create now a variable that is going to be storing the value of whatever the user has input. So let's initialize it here, and we're going to name it yes, or no, actually let's just say option. Yeah, let's just say option. Alright, so what do we want to do now? Let's take this variable and say option will be equal to user input dot next, which means it is going to take the whatever the user has given us as a string. So if he has given us 3, then option would be equal to 3, so we can manipulate that. Alright, and now we are going to do the manipulation part. So we'll say if option dot equals to 1, so basically what that means is if the user has chosen 1 as an option, just do the code here that's going to be in the condition. So okay, if the user has chosen 1, we want to stop displaying the menu because now Z is going to be 1, so this whole thing won't be run. And then what do we want to do? Then we want to calculate. So this will be the function that we create last, and we're doing it again here. What calculate basically does is, I'm going to show it here, it basically just asks the user for the operation, gets the numbers, and it basically does all the operation part. Okay, so basically, yeah, if he has chosen 1, then go back to here and display this code. So see just what to do. Then we want to divide 10 by 5, and then we get 2. So this will be our calculate function basically. Then what else? Then else if the option is in fact 2, right? What do we want to do? Well, again, we want to set our Z variable to 1 because we don't want this whole menu being shown again. And then, well, here, okay, let's see. Yeah, here we just, actually no, we want to display this menu here, right? Because let's choose 2, yeah, we basically want the menu to be displayed. We just show the calculations that have been done so far, and then we display the menu again. So we just run a function that we have not yet created. That's going to be called load history. In fact, this will be the next function that we're gonna create, I think. We'll see. And then if the option that the user has chosen is 3, which is the exit, then what do we want to do? Well, remember here in our start method that we have this while loop here, which basically means keep calculating, keep doing all of the stuff that needs to be done. Well, here, if the user wants to exit the program, we'll say keep on to be equal to false. But that won't be enough. We also need to stop this loop as well, right? And then we also want to print an exit message, which will be a method that we're going to create. So basically now what we have to do is create this method, which will be calculate, create load history, and create exit message. Alright, now let's create them. So first we're going to start with the load history. Public void load history, no parameters, and this will be just a simple message here. System out print line. Here are the calculations that you have done so far. Okay, now how do we store this result here? Because basically what we have to do is just return the results, right? Well, how do we store that in a variable, and then how do we display it? Well, here I'm going to introduce you to vectors. So first of all, vectors are kind of like arrays, but a little different. So let's first import it. They need to be imported. Then we need to initialize it just as every other variable. So we're going to say private vector double, don't worry, I'm going to explain what I'm doing here, calculations, and we'll say new vector like this. So basically that's how you initialize a vector. I know that the syntax looks kind of cryptic, but once you have been using it for some time, you just get used to it. But basically vector is like an array, and our vector is going to take doubles as values, because these values here will be doubles, the results will be doubles. This will be the variable name, and this essentially means just create an instance of that class, as we're doing for example here. It's basically the same, or even better yet, wait, how do I, okay, anyway, or even here, right? It's the same thing, we're just creating an instance of the class. Alright, now why do we want to use vectors here and not arrays? Well, okay, vectors give us, in Java more specifically, they wait a second, alright, they basically give us a add element method. So what I mean by that, well, calculations add element a plus b. So now what do you think this will do? Well, it's simple. It basically means add whatever is here as a value to our calculations variable. So okay, let's see. So if the numbers are 3 and 4, 7 is going to be added to this calculations vector, right? So now let's copy that and just paste it, right? What we need to change though is just the operation here, here, and here. So now basically these elements have been created, have been added to our calculations vector, right? Now what we can do with that is we can display it here whenever the user wants to load the history. Well, how can this be done? Well, we need to just loop through the vector, and how that is done? Well, it's very easy. I'm going to show you now. We basically say while I is less than calculations dot size. See, basically vectors have this method called size, which basically is the same as saying dot length but in an array. And then we say I plus plus. So basically here we're just looping to every single element that there is in our calculations. Alright? And then we just want simply to print it out to the console. So print line calculations dot get I. And what get is basically just means just get the element and print it. It's that simple, guys. Alright, so now that we have done this, what is the next function, or better yet, the next method that we want to create? Well, the next method would be the exit message, because that's simpler to do. We first want to do the simple parts. Public exit message, and we'll say system out print line. Alright, what do we want to do here in the exit message? Well, let's come back here again, and what happens when we want to exit? Okay, so first of all, it just displays all the results that we have gotten so far, which basically means what? Well, we're using the load history method. Remember, we just initialized it. So okay, before displaying them our message, we want to call our history method here, load history method. So basically, yeah, this will just say here the calculations you have done so far and print every single calculations that we have performed so far. And then all we have to do is just say thank you for using our program, hope you enjoyed the experience. well, I can't copy it, so I'm just gonna paste it, which is thank you for using our program. Hope you enjoyed the experience. Alright, so this will be all for our exit message. And the next and final thing in our calculator program would be the calculate function. Now this will be maybe the most important and complicated part, so yeah, let's dive into it. But don't worry guys, I think that you'll find it easy. Public void calculate, and it won't take any parameters. So here I'm going to initialize two variables that are basically going to be used for while loops. I also want to initialize a operation variable here that will just keep track of whatever the operation that is that the user has chosen. Now look what we're going to do here just in a second. So we'll say while x is less than 1, which means basically keep looping until a valid option has been chosen by the user, right? Just as we did before. Now what we're going to do here is say operation, which will be our variable that we just initialized as a string. Operation will be equal to choose operator. Now, do you remember that in the last video we created that function that's called choose operator? Well, that choose operator thing will be basically this whole thing here. So basically it asks the user for the operation that he wants to perform and returns it. It returns the string, which the string is going to be the user option. So here we're getting that, right? We're basically asking for it, getting it, and storing it to our operation variable. That's why I specifically said that we have to return the string value there, because we have to manipulate it here. And how are we going to manipulate it here? Well, with a bunch of if statements, basically. We're just going to say if operation equals plus. So if the user has chosen, again, just an addition, then we're going to say double num1. Okay, basically guys, we did create these functions, but we didn't yet use it, right? Now we have the chance. Now we have to use all of these functions that we created in the last video. All of these functions are going to be used in our calculate function. That's why I said it's going to be the most important one, because all of the things, all of the code parts that we have written so far will take place now in a single function. Now we'll say double num1 get first number, and I'm going to explain what I'm doing here just in a second. Get first number, and double num2 will be get second number. Alright, so yesterday or in the last video we have created these two functions where they are here. Get first number, get second number. So just like here in this method, we're returning the user input. However, this time we're returning a double instead of a string. But yeah, we're basically asking for the first and the second number, and we are returning the value, whatever the user has chosen, right? And now we are storing it in num1 and num2. Right. Why is this not in blue though? Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't see that I mistyped it. Anyway, now after that, look what we're going to do here. We just say addition, num1 and num2. And addition is this here, which basically means take two double values, which will be our numbers, add them to the vector we just created, and display the result. You see guys how everything now is structured. So now we just store, so now we are using our methods get first and get second number to store the number to a variable, and then we're passing these variables to the function that needs two variables to be passed, essentially, which are just double values, right? So then in the end we just need to set x to 1, so we're not keep asking for an operator, right? Alright, so this will be for this, and basically now we just have to copy paste that. It's basically the same. We just need to change this to minus and this to be to subtraction. This needs to be to multiplication. This needs to be multiplication. And in the end, we need division. And this needs to be, in fact, division. Alright, now that we have created all of these, guys, alright, let's first get out of here and say if x is equal to 1, we want to display the menu. Now I'm going to explain that why. So show menu basically is this. Please press the corresponding number for the operation. Now let's implement that in our ready program. Actually, I think that our program now should be ready anyway, so let's check it. Oops. Alright, we have a problem here. See why is that a problem. Show menu. That's really weird. Oh, I think this needs to be here. Alright, now we have another problem. Cannot find symbol division. Is that not how we created our method? Oh yeah, we misspelled that. Division. I suck at spelling, guys, sorry. Think everything should be right. Now, okay, let's try our program, and just in a second, guys, I'm going to explain why I did that here. So we're going to multiply 5 by 5, we get 25, everything looks perfect. We ask for 3 options, and let's say we want to do another operation, which will be minus 4 by 3, we got 1. Now we want to load the history, and here it is, 25 and 1. As you can see, this result is 25, this will be 1, and then again the method, the message just run again. This thing here just covers it, but that's alright. And now let's say we want to exit the program. Well, we just press 3. Alright, so what we're doing here is basically, as you could see, when we press 3, we exit the program. So whenever we've chosen here just 1, whenever we are ready with an operation here, we press this to 1, we press x to 1. So basically we're not looping through we're not asking the user for any more input, right? So whenever this is done, we want to show the menu once again, because okay, so this was our what was that? We're asking for the operation. So basically, okay, let me run the program again so I can show you again. This here will be this, essentially, right? So let's do this. 4 3 once again, 4 3. Oh, yeah, multiplication 4 3. So this will be run again, right? This will be run via this here, via this line. Then we're asking for the first, we're asking for the second number, then we're performing the operation here, and when all of this is done, we want to show the menu. Well, if all of this is done, that means that x is equal to 1. So whenever x is equal to 1, and when we're out of this function, we're basically saying show me the menu, and this will be the menu, because here it is We created that in the previous video. Actually, no, we created it in this video. What am I talking about? Yeah, so here it is. We're asking the user what he wants to do, then we're just manipulating that data with whatever he has chosen. If he chosen 1, which means another operation, we're just doing this whole thing where we're combining all of our methods, right? So yeah, I think that will be all for this video, guys. If you want me to do another video that is going to be basically covering all of the stuff that we did in these 2 videos, and if you need any more explanation, just tell me. I'm going to create another video trying to better explain everything. But yeah, and again, so you don't forget, there will be a link in my description under this video and under the previous video as well to my repository in GitHub that is going to be basically a documented code for this project here. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you did, just subscribe, like, comment. If you didn't, dislike the video. Any feedback would be appreciated. But yeah, I'm trying my best. Again, thank you guys for watching, and see you on the next video.